Hello everyone and welcome back to the Nethergreen podcast. Today we're going to be talking about numerous different topics. We have no idea what these topics are, but you do, because you've read the title and they'll be in the title, so you actually are in the future and you know what we're going to talk about. So why don't you do the talking?
We'll wait.
We'll listen to you. We're actually listening to your podcast now.
It's good. I'm loving it.
Yeah. You're getting there, like the sort of direction that you're going in is taking shape, and we just want you to know how proud of you we really are.
The early episodes weren't great, but you've really come into yourselves.
The mid-season I thought was quite good. It picked back up. You introduced a couple more character plots into the mix, spiced it up. You actually were bold and killed off one of your main characters.
Yeah. Episode 12 specifically I thought was really just great.
It takes a lot of guts to be that creative, you know what I mean?
It's just fucking good, episode 12.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not over it yet.
No.
And you're never going to get better than that. So you should really just stop.
Yeah, in fact, you know what?
We'll take it from here.
Yeah. You know...
We'll reel it back in.
Have a rest. Have a little hiatus. Do Doctor Who where you go off the air for 16 years and then come back and you'll be better. But for now, just leave it to professionals, right? I actually didn't like it. I didn't like any of that.
No.
I didn't like any of that intro.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's all a bit shit.
Yeah, that was terrible. Should we take it from the top?
We can take it from the top.
I think you should introduce it instead.
You want me to introduce it? Okay, fine.
Clearly,
fuck me then.
Okay.
Clearly Hector has no idea what he's doing.
What, no one's told me anything. I don't know what's going on. You haven't told me what the episode's going to be about, so I said, well, today we're talking about who knows, because I don't know.
I didn't even want to do one of these.
I don't even want to be here.
Right. Well, you know, that just took a very interesting turn. You know, you said my actual name, which you should bleep out.
We haven't started yet. You're starting.
Actually, I was going to keep all of that in.
Oh.
You should.
That was the joke of.
That was,
yeah.
But
well, now I just look really silly.
I feel like it's gone on a little bit too long.
Yeah,
but
now I'm actually going to
Oh
stop.
no! Okay, never mind.
No, I won't stop it. I'll just
do some editing, movie magic, and But I'm drawing a blank here. You know, it's been.
All right, I'm going to roll the ball.
What are we even here for?
I'm going to roll the ball. All right. Here's where we're picking up from. So on this podcast before, we have talked a little bit about the sort of things that we do in our day-to-day lives. You know, people do things in their day-to-day lives. They have a job, they have aspirations, they have careers.
They have Asperger's.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, and Asperger's. Yeah, some people, unfortunately, have Asperger's.
Ouch.
But the rest of the people in the world have, you know, aspirations and careers. And I think everyone in the UK right now is having a pretty hard time. I mean, if you're listening from the UK, you'll know, a lot of the adults in the world in the UK are having a hard time. The energy crisis is at an all-time high. Food is pretty high. My mum actually said the food has doubled in price in the past couple of months. Doubled in price enough for, you know, people that have enough money to sustain it. I guess that's fine. But when you're living on the bread line and the food doubles, it's kind of tough titties. The food doesn't double. What?
Can you not bang the table?
Oh, sorry. Okay. The food doesn't double. You just buy half the amount of food.
I mean, as somebody that works sometimes in a food store, I mean, I work in the warehouse, but it is a little bit ridiculous. And like the supply lines as well, like we're not getting deliveries when we're supposed to. We're not, you know, a lot of the things that we'd regularly have aren't there.
So maybe you can give us an insight. Why are the prices going up for retail food?
Oh, dude, there's a lot of factors. I said in my most American accent. There's a lot of factors that sort of go into it. I would say that, it's obviously inflation. And it's fucking Biden, bro. It's Biden's fault.
Biden is the reason why UK food prices are going up. But getting back to what I was saying, Bradley, you've recently made, you know, a progression with careers. Do you wanna?
Not really.
We can cut this.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it because I'm not proud of it.
Okay, fine. Fine.
It's not what I want to do, you know.
Any scripts?
Not really.
Any script ideas?
We got a Noir thing, and I did come up with the idea for it.
I'd like to do that, to be fair, because for the longest time, one of the ideas that I wanted to do is sort of, a few ideas actually. It's like putting modern twists on like old genres, I guess, which isn't a new idea. Like people have done it before, I guess, like Sin City or something like that.
Yeah,
That was
Sin
a
City,
more
yeah.
sort of modern gangster thing, but like keeping true to the sort of original thematic elements of those genres. So, for instance, like making a western, set in modern day, like Southern America. I think that could be pretty interesting, but keeping to the original themes in terms of like soundtrack, shot design, color grading, character development, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just put a new sort of fresh twist on it, and yeah, so this noir thing, which I haven't heard a lot about.
You've not heard anything about it.
I haven't heard anything about it. No. So, do you want to share a little bit of that?
It'd be a short film. The main idea, I guess, spoilers for a future project, I guess, if we keep this in, is it's about a guy. He needs some money. He goes to I called him Old Bill.
He's Old Bill.
Is he actually old, or is he like?
No, I imagine him being older.
Okay.
And he gives him, he offers him a job. Someone owes him money. He wants him to go and get him. But the guy, he knows who this man is. He's like, all right, look, he wants me to obviously go and beat him up. I'm just going to go talk to him. He goes up, he talks to him, what went wrong? Why were you borrowed all this money? I need the money back tonight so I can get paid. And he's like, look, I don't have the money, but you know me. Come with me. Let's go get the money. And he comes to me with a plan of there's this kind of a bootlegger, I guess I'd call it. And they want to go rob him. They do the robbery, or at least they attempt to do the robbery, but it goes wrong because the guy has talked to the bootlegger, and they're ambushing the main character. Essentially.
Right.
Yeah, ends in a little shootout.
Okay.
He kills the last two, but he gets a fatal hit, and because a lot of noirs I've seen begin and then flash back.
Yeah.
And it begin
like
with him.
that episode of It's Always Sunny.
yeah. So it begin with him.
Okay.
Bleeding out, and when we get to the end, he's finished essentially.
Okay. What is the definition of a noir?
A noir is kind of it's not even really a genre. It's just more of a style. Which is like, it's bleak, it's usually black and white, it's kind of, high contrast, high shadows.
Which is my type of shit.
Yeah.
So I have once been called the king of high contrast, which actually I think was the best compliment I ever
Who
got.
called you that?
A guy named Liam.
Oh, Liam, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Liam,
Yeah, Liam, good old guy.
Yeah,
nice drug dealer. He's pretty good.
Nice.
Just
cool
doxed
guy.
him,
Yeah. Don't bleep the name out.
He lived at 12 East Ferry, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's right. God rest his soul, wherever he may be.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, like it's a good style of film. Noirs. I think it's something that's not done all that often anymore. Do you know something? I did think of a direction actually to go into because it's something that we were talking about sort of at the end of the last podcast, right? Was what direction does the film industry go into from here, right?
Oh yes,
you know what I mean.
This was one thing that I've always said, which is that films have just been getting over the past couple of decades just better and better and better. From black and white, well, started with no sound at all, then the introduction of sound, then the introduction of color, then the introduction of more VFX elements, then better script writing, bigger budgets.
Yeah.
Where do you go from when it's so good that the VFX are indistinguishable from reality? The VFX have huge budgets. Can it get any better than that?
See, that's the thing, is that in their quest to make things better, the CGI has actually just gotten worse. Because I feel like there was this sweet spot, like I think I mentioned like last time, where like for instance with like Jurassic Park, I think, and a few others that we were talking about, where it's like you knew that it was CGI, but it was so realistic and so gritty that it was a part of the film and actually felt like some sort of magic, right? Whereas nowadays it's just all really glossy and it's too hyper realistic, you know what I mean? So it's like, for instance, like in that Star Wars, one of the Star Wars movies, or two of them actually, with like, what was it? General Tarkin or Grand Moff Tarkin.
Oh, you mean when they brought him back?
Yeah. And it's like Uncanny Valley type of stuff. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, it's great that we
when
can
you try to make
do
it
this.
too realistic. But the problem is, as detailed as you make the image on the screen, or as detailed as you make the VFX, it won't be as detailed as the human eye's ability to pick out weird shit. The better option is just to wash it out. It doesn't need to be that detailed. No one really needs to see film in 8K resolution with the highest quality VFX, because people still enjoy 1080p.
I'll tell you what that's all about. That was on the cinematographers, to be honest. We get higher paychecks when we say that we can deliver footage in 8K. Yeah. It sounds really nice to the client when you're like, oh yeah, we can shoot it all in 8K for you. It'll be nice high definition.
60 FPS.
Yeah, when obviously your average person outside of the 1% doesn't own an 8K or 4K TV. So,
that's the problem.
It's just, it's a nice little, I don't know.
But I think the media form has to change. That will be what changes next. The way you consume it, because VR has become popular, but I don't know if that's the future.
I don't think that would be the future of cinema. I'd say like the future of gaming for sure,
and porn,
yeah definitely porn.
No, it is.
It is.
100%. But no, and I mean just conceptually as well. I think that we have to kind of like take a step back and look at where we were maybe like 50 years ago, like in the 70s.
What is a movie? What were they when they were first made? In their rawness, but before it's being commercialized. Not a movie now is a list of things. But what was it before anyone knew what a movie was? What was a person doing with that camera? What did he actually think he was making? Because no one knew what a movie was.
Well, it was called a motion picture for a reason. It was just like, it's like art. You had something you wanted to say, you said it.
So, for instance, like the first film ever made, I don't remember the date or the name of the guy that made it. I remember it's the late 1800s. He just captured like a garden, right? Just somebody walking through a garden. And he displayed it as just somebody walking through a garden. But, people were amazed because, well, what the fuck? There's a screen displaying somebody walking through a garden. That's not actually there. But, it told a story as well of like real life, I guess. It's just it iterates things that people do every single day, and it resonates with them. So now that's something that we've kind of strayed away from. We've gotten into a little bit more of the escapism side of it, where it's like the things that people wish that they could do, right? But the thing is that I feel like at the moment is that the people that are making these films and television series, they're not in touch really with reality. They're not in touch with what the audiences actually want to see, want to feel, and how they want to have this escapism.
So is that, do you think, the future of cinema? Is the future of cinema escapism, or is the future of cinema a display of art?
Like realism. So it's going to be, I think it would be it's a combination of all of these things: realism, escapism, and actual art. So for instance, Bradley, have you seen the films that came out at Comic-Con for Marvel's Fifth Wave? Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And what are they?
The films and television as well. So
there's a lot.
There are.
There's a lot.
But
I mean, the big boys that they've announced, some of the old ones that they've announced were Blade and Fantastic Four, all that stuff. TV show wise, we're getting another Daredevil, which is lovely.
Oh yeah, you said.
Loki season 2, Secret Invasion, and Phase 6 is going to end with 2 Avengers movies in 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you notice an overarching theme with some of these?
Theme is in actual movie theme, or
theme is in main character theme?
What do you mean?
They were all women. For the majority.
They were all women?
For the majority, yeah.
That's a bit blaringly on the nose, if that is the case.
Yeah.
I don't know how
majority,
true that is.
The majority. No. Let's take a look.
Okay, if it's just majority, then that's maybe not so much on the nose. But if all of them were... Wait, Daredevil isn't...
No. So, but these are like the blockbusters, right? I mean, Kraven the Hunter's getting his own fucking...
That's not MCU. That's fucking Sony.
Is that more Sony?
Yeah, so
It would be. But,
I mean, I don't have a problem with.
I don't see gender, so maybe.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. See, I don't have a problem with female characters portraying new roles.
No. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's when you're trying to cater to an audience that really isn't there. Do you know what I mean?
The only ones I can think of, movie-wise, it's just the Marvels.
What's that?
There's loads more.
The Marvels will be Captain Marvel's next show, which will also have Miss Marvel, the stretchy teenage girl.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, I mean, obviously Black Panther coming out this year. I mean, it would have had Chadwick, but God rest his soul. So that will.
What do you think about that, by the way? Do you think that they should have just let it, sort of stay as it was, or
I think the choice not to recast him will come back to bite them, because I don't know. I mean, is that really respecting his legacy by just
letting the character die?
Yeah, by just unceremonially killing him off screen. So
and then replacing him.
What was
with a woman.
So in the film,
possibly.
what was the reason why he disappeared?
We don't know yet. It hasn't come out
right.
yet.
Oh,
yeah.
is it? Okay, I see. Right.
But I mean, considering that his last appearance was Endgame, where death was such a huge deal, and we saw Tony die and Natasha, to have him suddenly die off screen in what could be easily a battle, but still, it just I think they should have recast him, and so did Chadwick's family. This isn't respecting Chadwick. This is just ruling out the possibility of T'Challa having a real story anymore.
But how would you recast him? Because that's still equally weird to like.
I think it's a little bit less. It's a
They've
little bit less
done it
weird,
multiple times now. They did it with War Machine. They did it with Hulk. Hulk was Edward Norton before he was Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, but that was in a separate like movie.
No. At the end of Edward Norton's Hulk,
Tony Stark
comes through.
And we've seen.
I'd like to talk to you about the Avengers.
And we've seen General Ross in Civil War and Black Widow and all that shit.
Yeah, no, actually, you're
Yeah.
correct,
No, he was Edward Norton.
Although I do think Mark Ruffalo makes a better Hulk.
Eh.
Yeah. Really?
Here's the thing, maybe, but the Hulk has gotten worse.
Oh, really? I mean, like, obviously this is me saying this as somebody who hasn't seen
as a character, the Hulk has gotten just perpetually worse and worse, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, if you compare the Hulk from Endgame to the Hulk from The Incredible Hulk, it's two completely different.
Right, yeah, I get that.
versions of the character.
Yeah. I mean, even just in the other Marvel movies, he's kind of a
Yeah, I mean,
Hulk,
he was still pretty much there in the first Avengers, but Age of Ultron is when it started to go down.
Right, because he's less of the Hulk and now just more Mark Ruffalo, just big and green. Right?
Yeah,
like
and
they've
thrown in exactly. They've thrown in way too much comedy, and now She-Hulk is coming out, which I think will be.
Oh my god, I've seen the trailer for that. That is the most cringe. Was it you that showed me the trailer?
I think I'm looking forward to it, but not because of Mark Ruffalo by any means.
It looks so cringe. It looks like the most cringe thing. Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, I've seen
the trailer. Is cringe.
Nah,
that's what I think. I've been doing some reading, on the MCU comic universe, right? I think that what they should do is they should tap back into the actual comics, right, and just go from there, because the comics themselves, they have just so much good stuff, man. Like, and obviously they are kind of doing it with the zombie Avengers and stuff like that.
I mean, this She-Hulk seems like she's worth on the comics. I mean, that's the thing. You're saying the show looks cringe, but
no. I mean, not necessarily the concept. I mean, the actual trailer itself was really cringe.
In what ways?
I'll have to show you the trailer off screen, but there's specific scenes and lines in there that.
I mean, she breaks the fourth wall, which she does in the comics. We get the little cameos and stuff like that, which we were all expecting. Like,
there were specific. I'll show you off screen. There were certain lines in there that made me cringe deeply.
I don't know. I personally, I kind of disagree. I think it looks fine. Like, I mean, if you're talking about the stuff with Hulk, then yeah. Because again, Hulk has become... No, she's fine. I think Hulk in that trailer is more cringe than She-Hulk.
Also, one thing that I thought was cringe was, when the Hulk goes Hulk, is but when the woman goes Hulk, she just breaks through her heels and her clothes are still
But
there.
again, that's if you think that's cringe, blame the comics. That's not her. That's not the show's fault. That's how she is in the comics.
Yeah, but...
do you know what does happen in the comics? In Old Man Logan? You know what happens there?
I think I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Some dark shit, man. Some really dark shit. I feel like the MCU could actually benefit from maybe straying a little bit away from this comedy stuff. Like, keep the comedy in for sure, but I feel like they've tried to just make it all too family friendly and too consumerist.
Yeah.
Like, it's lost the spectacle. It's lost the urgency. Do you know what I mean? There's no real, because, you know, it's like, sure, one character dies, but I don't know, give it 5 or 10 years, then old Iron Man's going to come back when they offer Robert Downey Jr. $1 billion to come back, and
which they will do.
They will, which you know, because that's what they do as a corporation. So I guess the greater point of all of that is starting to lean away from the corporatization of filmmaking and leaning back into independent filmmaking, which again, it's what happened in the 1960s and 70s once the Hays Code was lifted and the government didn't have control of the media anymore.
But bringing back dead characters is something the comics also does a ton. Even Gwen Stacy's come back.
I don't know if we can use the comics. I haven't read, by any means, I'm not an expert on the comics, but what I do know is that you can't exactly use the comics as an example of high quality.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point. Like, the
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
They are a successful adaptation. You know?
So yeah, I'd say that there are better ways to interpret them then, or there's better ways to draw from them, better ways to, you know, take away from, you know, what they give. And yeah, that's definitely true that not all of the comics are
there's a lot
good by any means, because they're really
it's the same with all
Peter Parker used to be a little incel arsehole in the comics.
I didn't.
He was a dick for the first, I want to say, maybe 30, 40 issues of The Amazing Spider-Man. There's even a scene which a later comic has made fun of directly, where he passes a group of protesting students who are protesting, like, I don't know, climate change, whatever. And he's thinking to himself, like, man, look at these ungrateful bastards, you know, living in a society. Like, he's basically going against the idea of free protest, which isn't what Spider-Man would do. Yeah, like, and he'd see the popular kids and he'd be like, oh, they'll rule this day. Like, he was
were all the Spider-Man comics always written by the same writers?
They were then. That was Steve Ditko. Right. But since then, there's been loads and loads and loads.
Maybe he just had a bad day then. He thought, I don't know what I'm going to write today.
No, Steve Ditko was always kind of like that. Unfortunately, this is a fact. I'm not even saying this as an insult. He died alone as an old, bitter, cruel man.
Wow.
He really did. Like, he rejected and, you know, demoralised everyone around him.
Mm. But at least he made a good set of Spider-Man comics.
Yeah. He invented some good characters and shit.
Yeah.
He saved the Green Goblin. The Green Goblin was going to be an actual goblin resurrected from an Egyptian curse. That was Stan Lee's idea for it.
Wow.
And it was Steve Ditko who just decided, no, it's going to be a goblin suit instead.
Yeah, which makes
it cooler.
A little bit more sense, yeah.
So yeah, no, Steve Ditko, he should get a lot of credit, but he was also a very angry man.
What year is this? This is 1990s, 1970s?
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Comics been around for a while.
Jesus. Yeah. I mean, when did Spider-Man start, actually?
I think that was 60s. I know Fantastic Four was Marvel's first big boys, and those were mid to late 50s.
Okay. I know Captain America was
Captain America,
because it was like World War II.
He was, but then they put him on hold, and then like the actual thing of him going in the ice was their explanation for why he hadn't been around for so long.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Going back to audiences and how they should, instead of doing stuff just to cater to new audiences, use stuff from the comics. I do feel like, I don't know, I feel like they're two very different worlds. Like, picture the type of people who would be reading Spider-Man comics in the 1970s. Very different type of person to the people that go to the cinema to watch Avengers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
like, it's very, I feel like if they did just go, boom, we're doing basically comic resurrection, we're doing it by the books, exactly what's in the comics, then they'd probably lose.
I get that.
A lot of people, because
well, again, you gotta mix all this sort of stuff together, I think. But
I personally think it's hilarious that Comic-Con is still called Comic-Con. You're not going to find a I mean this, if you go to Comic-Con, you're not going to find a single comic there. You're going to find Funko Pops, you're going to find posters, you're going to find t-shirts and toys. There is no one at Comic-Con being like, buy this comic. from comic.
That's sad. That's
I
kind
mean,
of sad.
I'm sure that they do sell comics, but probably...
No, I
really?
promise you will not find one there.
Jeez,
I
alright.
promise you that.
I mean,
That's
I've
a
never been
bold
to a
statement.
Comic-Con, so... What, is this like the bet earlier?
No, it's just I've seen a lot of people talk about it.
That's
like,
terrible.
Here's why though, at
Comic-Con
Comic Con
isn't
it's all
about
fucking YouTubers and Twitch and Twitch streamers and TikTok users that go to these things now that will dress up and cosplay, and like hardly any of them are actual real diehard fans.
I mean,
So
and also just about anything gets a Comic-Con release nowadays. It's not it's not just material that's,
I mean, Kevin Smith talked about Clerks 3 at Comic Con.
Yeah, it's not really comic or, purely fan-based material, is it? It's
not anymore.
just
Pure-
current modern media.
Exactly,
Yeah.
mainstream stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, man, but I don't know. When you put into conjuncture the state of, for instance, something like the MCU, with the rest of the films that come out these days, it's like these. It's very hit or miss in terms of the sort of stuff that you'll find, and when you do find a good thing, it's like, oh, that's really, really cool, but what happened? Where did the rest go?
See, I think one obvious problem that I think with when something gets popular, or with anything, think of anything, whenever any specific thing that you can think of, whenever it becomes popular, a lot of the time it gets worse in terms of like the quality. So think of like a product, for example,
Rick and Morty.
Like Rick and Morty, not even just not even just media. Let's say, like, for example, there was a new phone brand that came out ages ago called OnePlus, and they were making really good phones, really good
affordable prices, yep.
Really good prices, really good quality, and then it became popular. And the next release of phone was fucking terrible. Rick and Morty, it became popular, the quality went down. South Park, as it became more popular, the quality went down, and the common reason for this is because as something becomes more popular, it's generating more money, there's more people involved. I can't remember, there is a business term for this because it happens, and there are like business structures that you get to prevent this from happening. But as like a team of people working on creating something, as the team becomes bigger, the outputted product gets worse because there's it's just a mayhem of mess.
The ancient Greek storyteller Aesop put it best as too many cooks spoil the broth.
And it's true. Because, like, for example, with Marvel, how the fuck do you organise anything when the crew is made up of, 1,000 people? How does anything actually get done if there's, a serious problem? I mean, it would take ages. There's, loads of chains of command, and then there'll be stakeholders and shareholders, and then the problem that is a serious problem that you've brought up, in the script or in a specific scene, it just gets lost in a huge chain of command, and then it never gets addressed.
Yeah. No, that's true.
That's why small stuff like Everything Everywhere All at Once, that was amazing. That was really good. Didn't have a huge budget. I'd imagine the team probably wasn't that big. But it was an amazing product, similar to lots of other films that have small budgets.
I think a great example is season 1 of The Walking Dead. I mean, Greg Nicotero, I think his name is, who did The Shawshank Redemption, and he did another Stephen King adaptation, The Mist, that's it. He comes in, he does 6 episodes of this, it's based on a comic, quite niche, huge, massive fucking hit for AMC. One of the biggest hits they've ever had. So what do? They order double the episodes and they halve the budget. And when Greg complains, they fire him.
What?
That's why season 2 of The Walking Dead is, and I'm saying this very boldly. Season 2 of The Walking Dead is pure and utter dog shit. It's terrible. It's a terrible season of television.
See, I've never seen season 2. Only season 1.
There is 13 episodes, and 8 to 10 of them is spent on a farm with maybe a single zombie per episode. If that. There are some episodes of The Walking Dead season 2 which have no zombies.
So what happens?
It became more of like a drama or like a soap opera type of deal, which actually I find that happens so much, man, with a lot of series that start really, really good and have good, strong premises, and they have a good sort of direction that they can go in, ways that they can carry the story creatively. they just turn it into a soap opera or a drama for some, like Lucifer, man. I loved Lucifer, but it just turned into like a soap opera all the time, and it's like there's only so much of the whole, the devil helps a human solve crimes that you can do before it just gets stale and old, and you're just repeating the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
And for instance, the idea is like, if the audience isn't asking any new questions, if the same questions have been going over and over in their mind for 2 seasons now, which would be like 2 years or something like that.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Then there's nothing to keep them involved other than just the name of the show and their supposed allegiance.
That's why The Boys is killing it right now, because The Boys is based on a comic, but everyone knows that comic isn't great. It's not, by the way. The comic of The Boys is not great. So, they're very loosely based. They've got all the characters, but they're very much taking its own direction.
I haven't seen the live action version, but I did see the first season of the.
Diabolical?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Very different to the show.
Yeah, some of them no, some of them definitely.
Awkwafina's per episode was not funny.
No, that was just.
I showed you it, the one where she drinks the compound V and she has a magic poo.
Yeah,
that was just so stupid, man.
Actually, sorry, what you just said. The audience having the same questions for too long loses tension, makes it boring. That happens so much in Stranger Things season 3.
Yeah,
I know I keep bringing this up because I've recently watched it, but that was so bad. I was so disappointed. I enjoyed the first and second season so much, but that was a problem. You just had the same. It was just the same mystery, the same set of questions throughout pretty much the entire season, and most of the way through you already knew what the answer was, and you were just kind of like, oh, the answer's right there, why don't you know what it is?
Different circumstances don't constitute asking different questions. They don't constitute a different storyline. Just because you change the circumstances of the film doesn't mean that the story's not exactly the same. Or TV series. And that's kind of what one of my problems is with a lot of the Marvel movies. Not all of them, because some of them, like Guardians of the Galaxy, good stuff. Because it knows what it's going for. It knows what it's trying to be. It's not trying to be something else.
And it's pretty disconnected from the larger universe.
Quite disconnected. The Spider-Man stuff, I've always really enjoyed a lot of the Spider-Man stuff. Even like the animated series, like the first films, the Andrew Garfield films, Tobey Maguire stuff, all good. I didn't like that 3D animated show that came out early 2000s. Did you ever see that?
What? The
Ultimate Spider-Man or something?
No, the 3D one, the one where Neil Patrick Harris voices him, the MTV.
Spider-Man. I didn't. That was just.
Well, that was a weird one. That was so.
That was very obscure, though. I feel like.
It was.
A lot of people saw that.
That's pretty niche of you to bring up. To be fair, so the idea of that is that it is set in the same universe as exclusively the first Tobey Maguire film, not the sequels. The first. Okay. It follows the first.
And they're in like university and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then at the end, I think it actually ends with him stopping being Spider-Man, like permanently. He decides to stop.
So it's just Peter Parker.
Yeah, I feel like.
Well, no. Because that's the end of the show.
Yeah. I see. The show isn't. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't really like that.
Yeah, that was Neil Patrick Harris voicing him. Yeah.
That's crazy. I never knew.
That's why he comes back in. There's a video game, Web of Shadows, I think it is, where there's four. Okay. There's 4 Spider-Man. He voices one of them for that.
Also, now that I say it, that would make a cool spin-off. Just a spin-off about Peter Parker. Oh my god, that should be a what if episode. What if Peter Parker decided he didn't want to be Spider-Man and he just lived his life?
We kind of saw it in Spider-Man 2. He was eating hot dogs and living his life.
Right. But he didn't have his powers. What if he did have his powers, but he just chose to continue being a normal guy?
Yeah, I suppose that's a good
What if?
Yeah.
What if you're listening? We know it's all just those 9 guys in Sweden or wherever it is listening to this. We don't really care. But
one of them is AJ Bradley, who is the head writer of What If.
Yeah. And also don't forget Doctor Who writer
Chris
Chibnall.
Chibnall
is still listening to all our episodes. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Let me quickly bring something up there. Jodie Whittaker's last episode is coming out in 2 months, and we already know more about David Tennant's 60th anniversary specials than we do that episode. There's been no marketing. There's not even Russell T Davies was the one who announced it was coming out in October.
Yeah.
Why are you scared, Chris?
They're just skipping ahead, man.
They even skipped Comic-Con.
They're getting ahead of themselves.
They skipped
because-
Comic-Con. There was no Comic-Con panel for Doctor Who.
It's because they want all the hype from David Tennant.
No.
But
why-
that-
all
No,
the hype.
that's not actually what it is.
Is it not?
I know exactly why Chris Chibnall decided to skip Comic-Con.
Why?
It's because he was scared of the Q&A.
Yeah.
He was scared of the people who would inevitably ask him about the ridiculous amount of plot holes and stupid choices and terrible dialogue and awful characters in his shitty little 3-season era of the show.
Was this Jodie Whittaker stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, see, I think that's exactly right. He probably was, very scared of that.
It's gotten so bad that with this, because it was announced that Disney Plus might buy the streaming rights. For
That's
the new
how
series.
you know it's bad. If China's own Disney has to offer.
No, but
Really?
with that, a lot of people have been saying that this might essentially become another reboot of the show, and they might go from series 1 again, because the idea that you have to watch through 13 series, including the Chris Chibnall era, would be very off-putting to new audiences.
Well, that's just.
I mean, that's not incorrect.
yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. Incorrect.
Again, I haven't seen any of the Jodie Whittaker stuff, and I'd like to point out, I wasn't opposed to the idea of having a female doctor.
She's
right.
fine. It's Chris.
Right, but the reasons why they brought in a female doctor, not because it would be something different and interesting and new, but purely to cater to the very politically correct media right now. It's the wrong choice. It wasn't the right direction to take it in. And then
No, but that's the sad thing. That's not why she was cast.
well,
Why was she called?
why
She was cast because Chris Chibnall wanted her on board charge.
Yeah, no.
They auditioned for male and female doctors.
Oh, okay. Broadchurch, really?
Yeah.
He did Broadchurch?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
He did Broadchurch. That was him.
That was him? What happened?
I could tell you exactly what happened.
Tell me exactly what happened.
Broadchurch and another show he did, which I don't remember the name of, but I've not watched it, but I've heard it's also pretty good. They both had a producer, the same producer, who worked very closely with Chris. That producer does not work on Doctor Who. Chris is the one producing the new Doctor Who. Chris isn't a producer. He's not a showrunner.
Right.
He is a staff writer.
Right.
That's the
Makes
problem.
sense.
If that producer had come on, I do think it would have been a bit better. But Chris decided, you know what? I've got all these wonderful eggs of a variety of shapes and sizes, and I'm going to put them all into this basket. Because this is a very well-constructed basket that's been around for 60 years. I'm sure this basket won't break, right?
That's what you think.
He ruined it.
No, the basket broke.
Upset a lot of people.
Basket broke.
Did some very terrible.
The basket broke so much that a lot of people say, oh, they didn't bring in Russell T Davies to save the show. And that is true on paper. The reason they brought in Russell T Davies is because no one else wanted to do it. And that is true.
Well, because of the new reputation.
Yes. They asked,
Yeah.
and so many people said, no, I do not want to run Doctor Who right now.
Wow.
No. And they went to Russell, and this isn't on paper, but it's my belief. They went to Russell and they were like, look, Russy boy, we don't want to cancel this show. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You are our only hope.
Right.
And he came back. He's
Yeah.
come back, and hopefully he'll save it all.
Because obviously he doesn't want to see it cancelled.
No.
Yeah. But if it's unsuccessful, I would say cancel it, let somebody else pick it up in another 16 years or whatever.
Yeah, let me pick it up in 16 years.
Let
Let Bradley save Doctor Who for us.
And I, honestly, I would, don't get me wrong, Doctor Who is very near and dear to my heart. But it won't be the first time it happened, you know? Fucking some things just need to die for a while,
Yeah.
you know? Like some things run their course. And I guess we'll see next year when David Tennant and Russell T come back. But, I don't know.
Yeah.
His reputation is definitely not great right now.
Yeah, it's like that with a lot of franchises, though. And that, again, comes back to the same idea. That there's a lot of things I think that they just need to let it die, to be honest, right now. Like reboots and just all these just franchises that go on for too long that they end up just...
They try to turn it into a cash cow.
You just alienate all of your audiences, and people just, I think, for the majority right now, have just said, nah, let's just not. Let's just not anymore. Because...
It's like Star Trek. I haven't seen any of the Star Treks, and I don't want to. But there's an animated Star Trek show right now that's actually done by Mike McCann, who is the co-creator of Solar Opposites. and it's in Justin Roiland's art style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I haven't tried it yet, but if I was going to, I'd do that because that sounds very unique to the idea of the Star Trek universe. You know, an actual, and it's a comedy. It's a straight comedy.
Yeah.
If I was going to watch any Star Trek thing, especially nowadays, I would give that a try. I wouldn't try Discovery or Strange New Worlds because they look like the exact same thing you've been doing for 60 years now.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't think Star Trek was ever great to begin with, to be honest. Like, I've seen some of the older stuff. Like, I think the only really... during the 70s, it was all just way too long and drawn out and, like, just not very exciting. It was, again, in the 80s and 90s, I think, with the Next Generation, like, early 90s. And some of that was pretty good, but it's Patrick Stewart, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, Patrick Stewart is great in general.
Yes.
So I think he definitely made that show a whole lot better as well. But then just since then, and I mean, even that show wasn't anything really to write home about.
No, I've never thought it looked great, but you can't deny its cultural relevance.
Yeah. You know, groundbreaking stuff in terms of science fiction, but, you know, again, there's only so many times that you can do it before people are like, right.
Yeah. That's the problem Star Wars is having now. That's why The Mandalorian, when it started, was like a real holy shit. Because it was basically a Star Wars Western, you know, instead of the soap opera we'd had with the movies, you know.
Yeah.
But even that's kind of getting watered down a bit. Book of Boba Fett was, and repeat after me, audience, shit. There was no book, and there were 2 entire episodes that had no Boba Fett.
Wow. And there you go. That was another thing. Like, it just seems like more, cash cowing, like you said, just because everybody loved Boba Fett when you were a kid.
Yeah.
I loved him. He was my favorite character.
And let's be honest, there is a good Boba Fett show.
Yeah.
It's just called The Mandalorian, and it doesn't star Boba Fett.
No.
That's what people wanted from the Boba Fett show. And instead we got the Book of Boba Fett, which is...
I mean,
I'll never rewatch it.
His lore in, like, the expanded universe of Star Wars is great, man. I love that stuff. Like, that could have been its own show. You didn't need, the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Baby Yoda!
And then Obi-Wan came out. You know what? I will actually say this for Obi-Wan. I think it would have been better if it was just a movie. Cut out a lot of the fat you've injected into the veins of this show. The clinical fucking lard that you've injected into the show's veins to help it die from being overweight. The reverse
liposuction you gave it.
It really is, because I'm telling you, there is almost 6 hours of content there. Psh, there shouldn't be. There's an entire episode, so a young Luke and Leia's in the show. And Leia gets kidnapped very early on.
Okay.
They save her in episode 3. She gets taken again, and then the entirety of episode 4 is them saving her again.
So basically, Obi-Wan has been Leia's hope her entire life.
Yeah.
And she has no...
He really is having
agency of her own. It's good to know.
Yeah. And then in episode 5, they're finally like, oh yeah, we forgot. It's mostly been filler. We should actually, I don't know, show some things that are relevant, that people will remember, and that they'll want to tune in for. Let's quickly do that in the last 2 episodes.
Did they throw Darth Vader in there just to make it fun?
Oh, really?
Yeah, of course, they would.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Well, to be fair, Darth Vader was around since episode 3. He just didn't do much.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, they had Hayden Christensen, and they made a big thing. Oh, it's Hayden Christensen behind the mask this time. In every scene he's in, it's Hayden Christensen.
Right, can anybody tell?
Who the fuck cares?
Is it still James Earl Jones' voice?
Yeah,
well,
not only that.
Not really
no, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh, is it not?
It's an AI James Earl Jones.
No!
Voice. Because he sounds... And he does. He sounds old now.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
He does.
Oh, no.
So yeah, it's an AI. And then in the very final episode... They have a battle, and half the mask comes off, like in the
Clone Wars.
And you see, not in Clone Wars, in Rebels.
Yeah.
And you see Hayden Christensen. And at that point, I was like, oh, I guess it was Hayden Christensen all along. Wow. Who the fuck cares for the first 5 episodes? Tell me, do you think James Earl Jones was the guy behind the mask in the original trilogy? He wasn't.
No,
he was some fucking
really
redneck
It was a
fucking...
big German guy, I think, or something.
No, I think he was a redneck.
Was
He
he?
could have been German, but he was definitely something.
Really tall. And
Yeah,
very,
exactly.
Very skinny.
Guess what? No one knows his name, so who the fuck cares who's behind the suit just because it's Hayden Christensen? What a waste of Hayden Christensen,
Yeah,
essentially.
seriously. I mean, well, yeah, and also, how can you tell it's Hayden Christensen? He got his face burned off.
Well, to be fair, they tell because once their mask comes off, they have his voice mix in with the AI James L. Jones, and in episode 5, to be fair, they do have a flashback to the prequel era, but then they don't de-age Anakin, so he looks
like the 40,
he looks
50-year-old
40,
man that he is,
which is especially weird considering you did an entire movie in the MCU where you de-aged Samuel Jackson, and no one asked for that. No one was like, you know what we need in this next movie? We need Samuel Jackson as he looked in Pulp Fiction. In fact, we refuse to give you money if we don't get Samuel Jackson as he looked in Pulp Fiction. A lot of people wanted Hayden Christensen to come back. That was at the top of a lot of people's bucket lists.
Yeah.
And then you finally bring him back, you waste him, and then you finally show him in the prequels, and it's like, man, that guy's 40. Look at him, he's walking with a limp.
He's not 19.
Like, it was actually kind of bewildering. I was like, man, why would you not de-age him right now? Did they just think no one would notice? No, we noticed. He looks older than Obi-Wan did in the prequel trilogy. Like,
Damn.
It was a waste of hate, it really was.
One thing that I do, in terms of shows, I do wish I should definitely watch some of the newer Star Wars shows that have come out. I haven't seen, like, The Mandalorian, for example. I haven't seen
That's
that.
the only one worth watching.
Really?
I would really say that, yeah. Book of Boba Fett isn't worth it. It's not. The only episodes worth watching of the Book of Boba Fett are the ones that are...
Boba Fett.
the opposite.
ones that are not Boba
are the
Fett.
ones
Oh, wow.
that are actually The Mandalorian. Because it is. 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett are the first 2 episodes of season 3 of The Mandalorian. It's like they went, oh shit, we promised them a 7-episode show, but we've only produced 5 episodes. What are we going to do? Oh, it's okay, guys. We've got the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian season 3 just sitting in the vault.
Also, what happened to Boba Fett at the end?
Of the show?
They didn't kill him, did they?
No, they didn't kill
Okay.
him.
All right.
But then they make it worse by having The Mandalorian season 2 end amazingly. What a great ending that was. I can't wait for the next episode of The Mandalorian to get an answer to that. Oh no, it's solved in the Book of Boba Fett, right? No, I have to watch this show.
Dang.
And people are gonna skip that show. They're gonna come into season 3 of The Mandalorian and they're gonna go, what's happened? I feel like something changed in the dynamic of the show. And it would be because they skipped the show that deserves skipping. It's shit. They have fucking Power Rangers in it. Essentially.
Power Rangers.
They've got these little fucking English scumbags who are like, oh, good day, mate. I want my gold. Give me my
that's
gold.
cringe.
He's taking
Really?
my gold.
That's very
And
cringe.
they've got fucking multicoloured bikes. And in the last episode, there's a scene where they're with a Wookiee and they're getting shot at from behind, and one of them does a cool twist, a cool 360 no-scope twist to shoot them. And it's like, man, I've shown you this clip. It's like, man, you did a full twist when you only needed a half twist. Why'd you do the full twist, mate? They're behind you. It's like he looked behind and he went, oh, they're actually in front of me. No, they are behind me. Whoa!
You could have literally just turned around.
Exactly. And even worse, they're with 2 other people. The Wookiee and the woman. And none of them do a full 360. It's like he did it on set. This is how I imagine it, because Robert Rodriguez, who did Spy Kids, directed that episode, which was a terrible choice. Every episode he's done of the Star Wars shows, including the one he did in The Mandalorian, was shit. But it's like,
could have learned from Spy Kids, maybe, which, as we know, was such a great work of film.
Exactly.
Okay.
But it's like I imagine the actor did it on set, and I really imagine Robert Rodriguez taking off his headphones, standing up, and giving a slow clap. Just yes. Oh, that's
We're using that.
That's
We're using that.
Can we get 4 more takes of that, please? And thank you.
He's like, I was just doing it as a joke, guys. It's a joke take. Well,
No, guys, I had something in my shoe. I was in pain. Like, no, that's art. That is art. That's Star Wars. Like, it's bullshit. It's a terrible show. Obi-Wan's worth watching, but honestly, not much. It's worth watching if you've got nothing else to watch. You've just watched the prequels and you're like, you know what? I like Obi-Wan. He's a good bloke. That's the only reason you should watch it. If you're watching it for the lore...
unless, take for example, unless The Mandalorian is better than The Boys, probably won't watch it, because I won't have time to watch it.
No, it's not.
Okay, I probably won't watch it.
The Mandalorian is good, but better than The Boys? No.
Then yeah, I probably won't watch it then, yeah.
The Boys is something special. It honestly is. Season 3.
I enjoy it. We've watched... How many episodes have we watched?
We've watched 5.
Out of the 5 episodes, 6 episodes, I'm loving it. It's really good. It's very good. They've got good tension going on in some of the episodes. A lot of, not bad cringe, but good cringe.
Yeah.
And
self-aware cringe.
Yeah, self-aware cringe, and it's enjoyable. I like it. It's
like, for example, a low-level spoiler in Season 1 is there's a bit where Butcher gives a speech about the Spice Girls. And I remember when it happened, you were like, that's cringe. And I was like, it's not. Right. And then in the latest episode, in episode 6 that we just watched, she reveals my wife loves the Spice Girls. Don't know why, but she loved it. It's the only time she really seemed happy. No wonder he knows so much about the Spice Girls, you know? He did it for his wife, and you find that out, you know?
And his wife's dead, isn't she?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for all he knows, she's dead.
Right.
And maybe she actually is. Again, I don't want to spoil it for the boy here.
Of course.
Yeah.
But Season 3 of The Boys is the only show that I've watched live, in the past, I want to say 5 years. Because I'm a scriptwriter, I can predict plots, essentially. It's the only one where there is at least a moment every episode where I actually do go, oh shit, fuck. Whoa,
That's good. That's what you want.
There's been entire episode endings where I've actually stopped the episode when it's finished and been like, what the fuck? Whoa! Woo! I've done that out loud because man, Boys Season 3 is fucking sensational. It's the best show on TV right now. I really do think.
Predictable plots are the thing that
They're the worst.
Despise the most, because then it's like, well, what was the point in even watching this show then if I kind of just felt like I knew what was going to happen?
And that's what's nice about the fact that they've adapted it from the comic, but they've changed so much. There's because I've read the comics. There's a character they introduced who's in the comics, and then they throw in a whole different element, and I was like, fuck, I was not expecting that. That is smart. That is fucking shocking. You know, and that's the sort of thing you can do when you take it into your own hands. The MCU's never going to do that. The MCU really won't. I love the MCU, but there's never going to be a time in the MCU where I go, wow, I did not expect that character to turn out like that. No, Doctor Strange, if he's a bit of an arsehole, yeah. Predictable, yeah. Oh, what? Spider-Man's had his identity revealed? That's happened in the comics too, you know. Yeah. He sold his soul to Mephisto. What did he do in No Way Home? He met up with Doctor Strange. Oh, magic solves everything. They're not going to get me like that. You know, the closest I will get to is with Kang, because Kang is a character you could do a lot with, but they're probably not. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but they're probably going to just follow the comics, you know.
Yeah, well, we'll have to just wait and see for the next releases.
But they are doing Secret War.
Yeah.
Which,
that could be good.
I mean, I'm going to place the bet now, and I really do think this. We will see the other two Spider-Men back in Secret War. I'm also going to put this bet on, and this one is a big boy bet. I think Robert Downey Jr. will be back in Secret War. Not big, but he will be in it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I really wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't surprise me either. I think so. Yeah, that would be a very corporate move to make.
Yeah. And of course, they're all about corporate moves.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to do a third bet, and I have nothing to justify this. Am I going to make that bet? I'm going to make that bet. Fuck it.
He's going to make that bet.
I'm going to make the bet. I do think that Secret War will be the time. It will be the time. I think our boy Daredevil will be in that one. I don't think he's going to be in the Kang Dynasty. But Secret War? Yeah, I could see it. And that will make my dick very hard. And I won't be able to think in the cinema because all the blood from my brain would have rushed down to my dick.
Naturally. Yeah.
And I will be in the cinema like a little zombie. Because man, oh man.
Well,
I love my boy Matt.
We'll have to wait and see. Let's see if these bets can be revealed.
And the listeners will have to tune in for more once those films have been released and we can...
Yeah, in 2025.
Yep. When this is still going and we're actually podcast famous,
yeah,
we will see.
Yeah.
So mark the episode 19, I made those 3 bets. And I guarantee At least one of them, to be honest. I'm not going to guarantee all three. I'm not made of money. But I guarantee at least one of them. I really... If not the Spider-Man, at least Andrew Garfield. Because I'm going to be honest. As much as I'd love to see Toby back, he didn't seem like he had that much enthusiasm. Yeah. Not as much as Andrew did. Yeah. You could tell Andrew was fucking loving it, you know.
He's getting old.
One or both will be back in Secret War, for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised.
For sure. But yeah.
I think that wraps up this this podcast episode.
Yeah.
So we've reached our time for today. But
yeah.
Thank you, listeners, as always, for tuning in to the sumptuous sounds of the Nethergreen podcast.
Yeah. I'm gonna drink for the first time in 3 years.
We're gonna have a good night.
So wish me luck, audience.
And we hope you have a good night too.
This is when wouldn't it be really funny if, you know, I die of alcohol poisoning? And the last thing the audience heard was, you know, wish me luck, audience. I'm going to get drunk for the first time in 3 years. And then, you know, next episode is just a minute long of you both being like, yeah, he didn't make it.
We're not even saying anything. We're just sobbing uncontrollably.
I wouldn't even be able to upload the podcast episode.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. Oh yeah, no, you really wouldn't.
Be able to, yeah.
So just in case that happens, you should give us all of your banking information, all of your passwords, your social security number, and everything that you have.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is it. Forever. We're going on another hiatus. We'll be back in 2025 to review Avengers: Secret Wars.
All right.
Nah, we won't. We'll be back in 2 weeks, is what I mean. Just not that we won't be back in January.
Yeah. Goodbye. Good night.
Good luck.